gonna set the record straight. I did not throw a plate of food at Naturi.
I feel kind of silly saying like Keely did not physically assault somebody with a two-piece because it sounds kind of silly, you know.
Like to clear up the record, that didn't happen. She was never physically abused. She was never verbally abused. I mean, just to say any of that, and to bring in color and to say that, you know, that she was kicked out of the group because she was the dark-skinned girl. It's crazy. She was brought into the group because she was the dark-skinned girl.
I think it's a little funny how they're dwelling on the food fight and they did not throw a two-piece. I mean, when you really think about it, it goes far and beyond the whole two-piece and the food fight and all that. It's before the food fight happened. It's basically they wanted me out the group.
Following the success of 3LW'S debut album in 2000, there was much anticipation for their follow-up project. Having already had their first album go platinum in the US, they had showcased themselves as one of the most promising R&B girl groups of the new millennium. Fans were eager for a more mature sound, and the industry was watching to see if they could follow up their early success. However, the album Rollout was overshadowed by drama within the group. Right before the album's release, Naturi Naughton left the group, alleging mistreatment from her bandmates and management. What should have been their big breakthrough into a more grown-up R&B space became one of the messiest in early 2000s R&B history. Delays and drama right before the album dropped. In this video, we'll get into the chaotic story behind their sophomore project and how it all fell apart. Love music. Dive deeper into the stories behind the hits and hidden gems and explore the eras that have defined some of your favourite artists. Subscribe now and never miss a beat. Hit that bell icon so you're always the first to know when I drop new content. Now back to the video. By 2002, R&B was getting edgier and the early 2000s saw the genre collide with hip-hop. Artists like Destiny's Child, Aaliyah and Ashanti were now leading the charge. Soft, teen-friendly R&B was starting to fade, and girl groups were either adapting or disappearing. When their debut single dropped, they were marketed as fresh-faced teenagers with catchy, radio-friendly songs. But by 2002, they were older and couldn't stick with the same sound forever. Their first album had a strong teen fan base, but to grow, they needed to capture an older audience. Epic Records, who the group was signed to, saw potential in them, but they knew they had to switch things up to take them to the next level. The group announced in February that year that they had recorded 10 tracks for their sophomore studio album. However, after the girls had finished recording, it's rumoured that the label were not satisfied with the recorded material. Naturi has alleged that at this time, their management made the group aware that an understudy was being trained as a precautionary measurement. Despite the internal conflicts, the group continued on re-recording songs for the upcoming album.
How y'all doing today?
Good.
Chilling, it's hot out here. It's hot in her.
Beautiful.
Hot in here. So let's talk about the album. Tell us everything we need.
Okay. The album is entitled A Girl Can Mack.
Ladies, the ladies out there, y'all
gotta check it out. It's real hot. I mean, I definitely think if you like the first album, you will love the next album because, I mean, we definitely... No, I'm so excited. We've grown a lot since the first album. It's been 3 years since we recorded our first album. So, you know, we have a lot more things to talk about.
That's right.
And it's definitely, we have a more urban feel, which is why we're so happy to be here on DFX.
That's
All right.
Yeah.
Let me ask y'all a question. How'd y'all come up with the album title?
A girl can
Mack.
That's right. See, all the ladies have to know that ladies have been macking for a long time. And 3LW is here to say that we're just doing our thing and continuing the whole thing about ladies mack.
No doubt. And now you talked about more of a hip-hop feel. Name some of the hip-hop artists you have on this album.
Well, let's talk about Naughty by Nature being on the album again.
All right.
Naughty by nature.
Let's talk about, you know, maybe having some of the Lunatics on the album. That would be hot as well. Exactly. And along with that, on the first single, it's Puffy and Luna both on it. First single, I Do Want to Get Close to You. Check that out, which is what we're premiering today.
So good. So look, We were talking about this album becoming more hip hop. We mentioned some of the people on the album saying Lunatics, P. Diddy, Loon. What was it changed for? Because before you guys were really trying to be marketed as a pop group. So what made you decide like, hey, yo, that ain't it?
It's not working at the moment. Nah, definitely. I think this album shows the influences that we've really had in our lives, the music that we listen to over the past couple of years. You know, we love listening to like Busta Rhymes, listening to, you know, definitely Ja Rule, Irv Gotti's music and all that stuff. That's definitely stuff that has influenced us.
Right.
And we wanted to express that on this album, really show what music we like, what music we listen to.
I think that, you know, definitely with this album, you know, we grew a lot and we started listening to music. I think that this album really shows the music that we've been listening to these past 3 years. I mean, before we were listening to a different type of music, so we expressed that on our album, and now this album is expressing the music that we've listened to this past couple of years. So,
And plus, y'all, urban music is hot. Okay?
That's right, y'all.
VFX,
Yeah,
y'all be doing it.
That's right. Urban music.
For the group to stay relevant, they had to grow up musically. The announcement of the first single from the project, I Do, was meant to signal a bold new era for the ladies. For this, they decided to team up with P. Diddy for the release. Diddy was the king of early 2000s hip-hop and R&B crossovers. His Bad Boy label had huge success, with acts like Faith Evans and Total, proving he knew how to blend smooth R&B with street appeal. In May of that year, Adrienne described the song as a lot of fun in an interview, adding that the group wanted to release something that would make people happy.
We wanted to do a party video because the song is about a party, but you know, we wanted to do it a little bit different. So Chris came up with this incredible idea about our own aquatic pod, and you just drop it into the ocean. We can have a party wherever we want.
Right now, we're about to do our entrance into our party.
I'm Jamaica, the choreographer for 3LW'S. You seen what I do. The choreography that they're doing today is a lot of groove, but high energy groove.
Bad boy, baby. 3LW.
Stepping from the pot.
Not for the camera!
Then in June, the ladies released the song. Produced by Mario Winans, the track showcased their shift toward a more mature sound. It featured a smooth yet edgy R&B beat with hip-hop influences, fitting the early 2000s trend of blending sultry vocals with rap features. Being part of Bad Boy, Loon was also added as a featured artist, giving the track extra credibility. The feature also helped Loon get some exposure, who was also getting ready to drop his own project. Lyrically, the song is about a girl asserting control in a relationship, making it clear that if a guy wants to be with her, he needs to prove himself and put in the effort. Thematically, it aligned with the era's independent woman narrative, similar to what Destiny's Child and TLC were doing. The visual echoed the group's shift, not just in sound, but image too. The girls wear leather outfits and heavier makeup throughout most of the video, demonstrating they were more mature and growing into young ladies. However, when the single dropped, the reception was mixed, with critics acknowledging the group's attempt to mature their sound, but questioning whether it was the right fit for them. Some outlets praised the song's slick production, noting how it leaned into the hip-hop infused R&B sound that was dominating at the time. The Bad Boy influence also gave the single a certain level of credibility in the industry. A few reviews did commend Adrienne's vocal performance in particular, saying she carried the song's sultry and confident tone very well. Others felt the song lacked the charm of their earlier hits, arguing that the edgy, grown-up direction felt forced, rather than a natural evolution of the group. Some critics also pointed out that their identity was getting lost in the Bad Boy aesthetic, making them sound more like a clone of groups like Total or Dream, rather than standing out on their own. And while the song wasn't a critical disaster, it didn't generate the excitement needed to properly launch their sophomore project. The reception naturally reflected in the single's commercial performance. The song reached number 58 on the Billboard Hot 100, and whilst this was in line with the singles from their previous project, it was not a good start to an era that was considered a reset for the group. Their transition from youthful R&B to a more mature style wasn't fully connecting with fans. Without a major push, the song also struggled to gain momentum on urban and pop radio stations. A couple of months later, 3LW imploded in one of the messiest breakups in 2000's music history. The drama came to a boiling point when Notori was allegedly attacked with a plate of KFC during a heated altercation with bandmate Keely. At first, Keely and Adrian flat out denied the incident, but as the whispers grew louder, Keely later admitted it, though she cryptically insisted there was much more that happened. Behind the scenes, tensions had been simmering for months, and Notori claimed she was being pushed out of the group, particularly by Michelle Williams, the group's manager who allegedly made her life miserable. Notori accused Michelle of pressuring her to pursue a romantic relationship with a member of the St. Lunatics in an attempt to land 3LW a spot on their tour. Keely and Adrian painted a different picture, stating that Notori had been unhappy for a while and lacked ambition, but by this point the damage was done.
Learn to get together with each other. Was that hard?
Yeah, it was a little difficult. It was a challenge. Keely might know about that one.
Let us know a little bit about that.
It was just Notori and I, we had some conflicts. We just didn't get along very well.
Well, why not? What kind of issues were you dealing with?
She doesn't understand me.
Notori just won't listen. That's what it is. Nah, actually, the funny thing is, we always, Adrian's like, and you know what? No. Nah, actually.
Okay, we'll let you explain it.
I think what happens in our situation is that we're so different from one another. Everybody comes from different areas and we're raised very differently from one another. So when we first got together, everybody had different opinions and a different way of looking at things. And we kind of had to formulate something that would fit all of us, which musically, we definitely took pieces that we loved from one another, blended that, and we started to blending our personalities as well, learning from each other and learning that it's cool to be different from each other. You just learn to love each other and learn things from your differences and love each other no matter what.
Gotta keep the peace. Gotta keep the peace,
Yeah, but it wasn't always like that, just so everybody knows, okay? This was not perfect.
All right, but it's perfect now.
Well, our music and the way we blend our personalities and our harmonies, and when we get on stage, it is perfect. The blend that we have and the relationship that we share with each other.
Wild, eclectic chick or whatever. Okay, cool.
Okay.
And I love the fact that 3LW had 3 distinct personalities, 3 different people. Adrian was supposed to be like the Puerto Rican, thing, bring that Latin flavor.
Okay.
And I was the brown-skinned girl who was supposed to represent all the brown-skinned girls out there, and I was just doing me, basically. So they were never satisfied with what I brought, and they said that I didn't bring my end of what 3LW needed. So they're trying to replace me with this understudy girl who's basically learning all my parts to be me.
She's a brown-skinned girl, and she is more of like the Tims. Talks rougher than you.
I'm really not sure about that. This is they're just using this to cover up what it really, really is. What it really is a personal thing against me. It's not that I didn't have the image that they wanted, because I wore the Tims, I wore the baggy pants, and then I switched up and wore the tight jeans and then wore heels.
Right.
I tried to do both, and I did my best in whatever they wanted me to bring to the table, but it was never good enough. It was just never good enough.
So with the other 2 girls, would they conspire against you, and so you'd be out on the road and stuff, and you'd feel like the lone wolf?
Yeah, at first it wasn't really like that. It used to be me, Keely, and Adrian were tight. We were friends, and I really, really thought this. They basically didn't want me out the group. Initially, they even told me, Keely said, I think this is drastic. Why are we doing this? She didn't think it was necessary.
Okay. Mack makeup, she'd be a C6. Black girl. With the long hair weave and what they would call like a more exotic black girl look, And then you are the brown-skinned black girl, clearly no hair weave. You take a cream of nature and you hit it with the hot comb.
Exactly.
And you go on about your business.
Word up.
Okay. At any given point, was skin complexion brought up dealing with you 3Ls?
And I was thinking about this. When I got home, I was thinking, a lot of people have been asking me, why are they trying to kick the dark-skinned girl out the group? And I thought back to when I was 15 years old, about 3 years ago.
Okay.
Management and our production company sat us down and basically told us how we had to put Adrian, the Puerto Rican girl, more up front, and the J-Lo thing is in right now. And they basically explained how there's a Puerto Rican fad.
Okay.
And that she had to be more up front.
And I'm thinking, oh my, like I'm 15, I'm just trying to sing. That's all I really want to do.
Okay.
And I didn't think that my skin color should really matter, but they basically just told me that, well, you know, nobody's really checking for, you know, the brown skin girl to be up front, J-Lo, and the Puerto Rican thing is what's in right now.
I think it's unfortunate.
Yes.
We all know about what the industry has and what the media's perception of certain things is. I think it's unfortunate, certainly for this young lady, to think that her complexion could be somehow considered a detriment in terms of the success of the business. I mean, of the group.
And if they were I just feel like if they were the type of people who weren't down with that and were like, you know, we don't get down like that, they would have stepped up and been like, no, this is our group. Each girl, despite their color or their complexion, is equal, and we are going to represent them just the same.
Okay.
And what
but there was this whole J-Lo thing.
She's supposed to rock the boat and say, well, that's not right. Or
okay, well, then you could have said, okay, well, can I at least be in second in command? Or did they then say, well, you know, you are the darker person in the group, so you're third?
I mean, it wasn't even like questioning like who gets, you know, to be second up front or anything. It was just basically they were kind of sitting us down like, unfortunately, this is the way it works, and J-Lo's in right now. We have to put her.
So the mother sister's daughter was not pushed out front. It was Adrienne.
Well, I mean, it depends. I mean, that's just a matter of opinion. Who knows? But a lot of people, like on our website, are saying, why is it that Keel and Adrienne get to sing more? They're more upfront. And, you know, if you look at the video, a lot of people say the video kind of speaks for itself.
Well, it does. Listen, I want to get right to this because obviously there's a lot going on with you guys, and Notori is no longer a part of 3LW. And I just want to run through all the stories that we've been hearing about you guys, and I want to hear your side of everything. All right. One is that Notori stated that while she was arguing with your mom, who's also your manager, that you threw a hot plate of Kentucky Fried Chicken in her face?
We feel silly even defending myself against a two-piece. It sounds crazy to us.
Like, you know,
it really sounds crazy. But first of all, she was not arguing with my mom. She was arguing with Adrienne.
Okay.
So, you know, I think a lot of stories have gotten a little, you know, very mixed up. You know, we were in an argument basically about, you know, the rumors have been flying around that, you know, that Notori was getting kicked out the group or that she was leaving or whatever it was. And basically, you know, it was like she got on the phone with somebody who, you know, is the board moderator and was just like, yeah, they are kicking me out. The two light-skinned girls are kicking me out. And I was like, light-skinned girls? I was like, you've always called me Adrienne. I never knew that was like, you know, like, whoa. And that obviously got me mad. And we started arguing there, which wasn't that unnormal for us, you know. Like any, you know, teenagers, we argue. Right. And the food was actually hit. It was a plate of food that was hit by Keely's 3-year-old sister. So to turn that back and that it was physical assault, you know, kind of shocked us, and it's a serious accusation, so I think it's definitely hurt us more than anything.
But we just, you know, like to clear up the record, that didn't happen. She was never physically abused. She was never verbally abused. I mean, just to say any of that, and to bring in color, and to say that, you know, that she was kicked out of the group because she was the dark-skinned girl. It's crazy. She was brought into the group because she was the dark-skinned girl.
You know, definitely. That's what we wanted. That's what we wanted. That was the look of 3LW to definitely touch all girls of color. That, you know, that I was a Latina. You know, she was going to be that brown-skinned beauty.
Exactly.
You know, it was for that. That was the purpose
so
of the
that
group.
every girl of color could look at them and say, she looks just like me. She looks just like me.
And they're doing their thing, and I could do it too.
Okay. It was supposed to be a beautiful thing, not to rip us apart.
Right.
So that's been hurtful. Not only that, but that she was our friend. I think that's really what it hurt.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah. All right, well, another one is that the group was first formed and Notori actually replaced the original member. There's a third member that was replaced by Notori, and since Notori left, there have been rumors that there's a third spot being filled by this girl, Dee Dee. Who's Dee Dee? She's back.
No, there is no third member. Yeah. Dee Dee is a good friend of ours.
Okay.
Hi, Mama, I know you watching. No, you know, when she first left, she abandoned the promo tour. We were on a promo tour, full-blown promo tour. We had a show that day that she left and a show for the next 6 days. So we're panicking. People want to see 3LW. They want to see three people up there.
What's up? Could you?
There's a lot up. There's a lot going up and down, and there's a lot being said back and forth between the former, you know,
members.
Yeah.
I know.
And you know, they came on last week, and you saw the show.
Yes, I did.
And what was your last conversation like between you and them?
Actually, I haven't had a conversation until Keely threw the plate of food in my face, and they haven't called me, which is crazy. They claim, you know, yeah, we're friends and we're cool and we used to be friends, but friendship shows, you know, hey, I'm gonna call that girl regardless. That's what real friends do.
But you went and said some things that they they adamantly said were pretty much lies.
Well, I think what it is some people get afraid. When you tell the truth and you tell the real story, then people get, oh my gosh, we have to come up with something real quick.
Right.
So
Cover themselves.
after 2 weeks, they came up with the story about the little baby girl and all this stuff. And it's funny because I told the truth. Now all of a sudden they're angry and I'm some bad guy.
Right.
That's not the case, y'all.
That's really unfortunate that it's deteriorated to this level. It really is.
Yeah, it really is. It's pretty sad because I thought 3LW was going to go far and beyond and do our thing, and that's what I wanted. But I guess other people want a different agenda, and things had to change, so it's all good, though.
Mm-hmm. And speaking of the future, I asked them, I said, if you were to go and step to them and ask to be back in the group, would they let you back in? And they said, nah.
You know what it is?
How does that sit with you? Yeah.
Well, okay. I loved being in 3LW. I worked hard to get 3LW where it is now. And some people you just can't work with if they don't want to work with you.
Mm-hmm.
You got to be a team. And if a team isn't ready to work, then I can't be there. You know?
Oh, he said, I'll be in your team.
Thank you, boo.
You still got a lot of love from a lot of people.
Thank you so
feel
much.
good about that. Now, they both said that the new 3LW album, A Girl Can Mack, drops October 22nd.
Yep.
And your vocals are going to remain on the album.
Yeah, actually, I mean, I'm not singing much on the album, and a lot of people will be able to see what I've been talking about. Like, they're trying to say they never discriminated against me, and there was never any hate going on. But why wasn't I on any of thing? And I couldn't participate in the album. They were stopping me from singing on songs. So that's hate right there. So I'm going to still be on the album October 22nd. Y'all go check it out.
That takes away my next question. I was going to ask if you're going to help promote the album.
Hey,
but obviously you still plugging it.
I'm not a hater. So go check out the album. Do what you got to do.
Tori in the house, formerly of 3LW.
What's up, y'all?
Now, a little while ago, we had 3LW up here, and they gave us their story. So let's take a look at that clip right now.
Cool. No, but I'm going to set the record straight. I did not throw a plate of food at Naturi. That never happened. We'd be happy to tell you what did happen, but that's not what happened.
That's
So
not
what happened?
You know what? I feel kind of silly saying like Keely did not physically assault somebody with a two-piece because it sounds kind of silly, you know?
Okay.
No doubt. That was 3LW up here telling their side of the story. We have Naturi up here now. And you can, you know, there's always two sides to a story, so we had you here. We don't want to start any controversy, but tell us your side of the story. What happened?
Well, basically, I think it's a little funny how they're dwelling on the food fight and they did not throw a two-piece. I mean, when you really think about it, it goes far and beyond the whole two-piece and the food fight and all that. It's before the food fight happened. It's basically they wanted me out the group, and I want to make it clear that management wanted to terminate me from the group. And be honest about it. Be real. You know, you want me out the group. I'm not going to say I want to leave the group because that's not the case, you know?
Okay. And how long had that been going on?
Wow, like 2 months, basically. Management told me, hey, we have an understudy for you to replace you. And I'm like, hey, what's going on? We about to come out with our second album. Things seemed cool to me. And then there was all this drama, like I'm not bringing the urban edge. And I was like, hey, let's do what we got to do.
Really?
No doubt. So what was the problem, or what was the
I really to this day, I still don't know what their problem was. I know I'm an artist. I'm here to work. I love to sing. I love to perform. That's what I do, you know?
So you knew that they had an understudy, but you still had to work. Were you uncomfortable? You had to be uncomfortable.
I mean, honestly, it is uncomfortable to anybody who's on the road. You're supposed to be singing, doing your thing, trying to perform, and people telling you you're not good enough. We don't want you here. Come on now, what kind of stuff is that? That's not what I'm here for.
Right. Have you had any thoughts about, because you all did record this album that is coming out, have you had any thoughts about rejoining the group? Is there any way?
What I have to say about that is, as I said, I'm a singer and I'm an artist, and I feel like no artist deserves to be disrespected. In any situation, nobody deserves to be put down, degraded, or whatever. So I feel like I can't put myself back in that situation. I can't go back to people who don't want you there. So sometimes you have to just use it as, you know what, I'm going to take this experience and get stronger and do what I have to do.
Okay.
No doubt. Now, how long, when was the first time that you knew something was going on funny, or did you and have to work through that?
The first time that I realized things were a little strange and different, like I said, when we were coming back to do dance rehearsal in New York City, there was an understudy, and I heard that there was a girl for everybody, an understudy for everyone, but there was only one for me. And I was just like, hey, this is strange. I kind of thought it was peculiar. She's learning my parts and the steps. And I thought that was really, really strange.
When Notori's shocking departure from the group made headlines, the public reaction was intense, with fans and media split between supporting Notori and questioning what really happened behind the scenes. Many fans were shocked and upset, especially when it was publicly detailed how she was pushed out of the group. The infamous KFC incident became the defining moment of the fallout, turning it into a pop culture scandal. Rumours of colorism and bullying within the group also surfaced. The music press ate up the drama, with outlets covering Notori's side of the story and speculating about the behind-the-scenes tensions. Radio stations and urban media platforms also gave her a platform to speak, while Adrian and Keely were left scrambling to control the narrative. Some industry insiders questioned if the group could survive after losing such a key member right before their project was about to drop. As a result of the frenzy, their second album was pushed back, likely due to management going into full crisis mode. There was a focus on trying to contain the damage, keep the group moving forward, and salvage the album's rollout. Initially, Adrian and Keely denying the altercation was likely on the advice of management, to avoid making the situation worse. Management likely coached them on what to say in interviews, downplaying the drama and pushing the idea that Notori had been unhappy for a long time. To make matters worse, instead of taking time to rebrand, management immediately began searching for a replacement, wanting to keep the momentum going for the second album. Keely and Adrian, however, decided to continue publicly as a duo and still use Notori's recorded vocals on the album.
Williams, aka Miss 99, and the real 3LW, Keely and Adrian. All right, how are you guys doing? Good. Doing good. Are you guys on the road right now? What are you working on right now?
Wow, well, you know the album's coming out. It's called The Girl Can Mack. It'll be in stores October 22nd.
Yes.
So we're really excited about that.
And after that,
And right now we're just on a promotional tour, and hopefully we'll be on a tour this summer.
we're in the studio making a Christmas album, which will be coming out, around the time of the album. It's called Naughty or Nice, so that's what I gotta look out for it.
The label ultimately decided to continue with the rollout despite the controversy, but without Notori, fan interest took a major hit. After the messy fallout and the underwhelming performance of their lead single, the group tried to regain momentum for the upcoming project with the release of their second single, Never Get Enough. Released in October 2002, the song is about being completely infatuated with someone, with the members singing about how they can't get enough of their love. It leaned into a mid-tempo, sultry R&B sound with a smooth, flirtatious vibe that showcased a more mature side of the girls. The song, which heavily samples Teddy Pendergrass's Close the Door, has a mellow, throwback sound with a deep bass line that carries the song and gives it a laid-back, yet seductive feel. Adrian and Keely handle most of the vocal duties, delivering their lines with a sensual, confident energy that matches the theme of infatuation. Their voices are soft, yet self-assured, complementing the smooth instrumental. The harmonies are rich, giving the track an R&B groove, but there's a clear influence from the hip-hop world as well, especially with the song's pacing and beat drops. Lil Wayne is the featured artist this time around. His feature with the group was part of his transition into more mainstream collaborations, showing his ability to adapt to R&B crossover records. Even in his early days, Wayne was known for clever punchlines and double entendre, and he brought that same energy here, adding a bit of personality to the record. Wayne's verse sits comfortably in the mix, with his smooth flow providing a laid-back contrast to the more melodic delivery from the girls. His voice adds a layer of street credibility to the song without overpowering the track's sensual tone. Instead of a sleek club or fancy setting, the video is set in a neighbourhood environment, with scenes shot in front of homes in the streets and in more casual settings that feel more grounded and relatable. There's a relaxed vibe throughout, as the video focuses on the girls in low-key settings, giving a sense of realness and accessibility rather than high glamour. This approach fits well with the more mature, street-leaning sound of the song. Once again, the critical response to the single was mixed. with some praising its mature sound and others feeling that the song didn't live up to expectations. It was clear the group was attempting to shift their style and sound, but the reception reflected the struggles they were facing with both their musical identity and the public drama. The production was praised for being smooth and well-crafted, with the clever use of the sample, mixing piano, bass, and hip-hop beats, standing out as a fresh combination. On the flip side, the song was critiqued for feeling somewhat formulaic in its approach. Some reviewers felt that it was trying too hard to catch up with the changing landscape of early 2000s. Others pointed out that the chemistry between the remaining members was not as strong as before, with some suggesting that the departure of Notori left a noticeable gap in the group's dynamic. Despite Wayne's contribution, the track's lack of radio play and weak commercial performance led many critics to feel that it just didn't connect with listeners in the way they had hoped. While some aspects of the track were appreciated, the overall reception remained lukewarm. The song was considered a valiant attempt to reshape the group's image, but it was too entangled in the drama surrounding their lineup changes. It also struggled commercially, further cementing the issues that the group faced during their second era. It failed to chart on the Hot 100, which was a significant blow to the group after the underwhelming performance of their previous single. I Need That, which was viewed as one of the stronger records from the album, was sent to radio in early 2003 as an attempt to put out a third single, but it failed to gain any traction or airplay. Despite the poor performance of the two singles, the album was released at the end of October, just a couple of weeks after Never Get Enough. By the time the album dropped, the group had undergone significant shifts, most notably the departure of Notori and the introduction of a new sound and dynamic for the remaining members. The album attempted to explore a more mature, confident side of the group, showcasing more of their personality and shedding their earlier youthful image. A significant part of the thematic shift focused on empowerment, love, relationships, and self-confidence. The album received a mixed to lukewarm reception from critics. Some praised the maturity of the album's themes and the group's attempt to break away from their teeny bopper image. Critics pointed out that the group had potential and could have evolved into a much stronger force in the industry. However, some reviewers felt that the album couldn't decide whether it wanted to lean into pop hooks or a more street-edge R&B style. Commercially, A Girl Can Mack had potential to do well given the album's production. The project underperformed compared to the expectations set by their debut. Sales were weak, and it failed to make a significant impact on the charts, peaking at number 15 on the Billboard 200. And whilst this was a higher placement than their debut project, it was disappointing considering the attempt at a rebrand. So, after a whirlwind of drama, the departure of one of the members, and a musical reinvention, their sophomore project ended up being a mix of potential and unfulfilled promise. From Notori's departure to their struggle with charting singles, it's clear that the group faced too many hurdles that kept them from hitting the heights they had initially aimed for. After a new member joined the group, work on a third album began, but was never officially released. Some of the tracks intended for the project did leak online. With the rise of newer groups and shifting music trends, 3LW'S time in the spotlight came to an abrupt end. The era of A Girl Can Mack is a reminder of how challenging it can be to navigate the shifting tides of the music industry, especially when personal drama and a change in sound collide. That being said, the album did contain a handful of tracks that still resonate today, showing us that 3LW had all the right elements to succeed. They just didn't have the right moment.